My parents met at RISD, so even though they weren't painting or doing much artwork when we were growing up, there were art supplies around all the time. So when I was a teenager was the first time I started painting in oils using their old oil paints that they had. That was more than 30 years ago, so it was quite a while ago, but I've been painting ever since. The first painting I remember doing, I was just a teenager at the time, so I set up in the basement, I set up a little still life with a glass jar full of marbles on a velvet background, and I lit it with the spotlight, and it was very dramatic, a little still life, but it was quite a challenge since I had just started painting in oil to paint the glass and all the reflections, but I still have that painting actually. When I first went to school and started painting, I ended up wanting to be super realistic, so my painting was very tight and really realistic. But then when I got out of school, I started painting much brushier and faster. I was painting scenes of Providence, and since then I've worked in series, and every series I think changes my work a little bit. It's gotten more structured again, but it's got more abstract qualities to it, I think, than, of course, when I first started. And I've been looking at a lot of different things like medieval paintings and getting a lot of ideas about structure from that. So sometimes I miss the brushiness and the spontaneity of my earlier work, but I think maybe it's a little more evolved at this point. But you always lose a little something when you change. One of my biggest challenges as an artist is finding the time to do my work. I would say that's the number one challenge, and also that the time I do have is broken up so much that it's hard to get the continuity to keep ideas going in my head. So I have to keep picking up ideas, after a few days and trying to pick up where I left off. Of course, there's always a challenge of trying to progress and move into new territory and push my painting even further. And that's a huge challenge that will never leave. Hopefully someday the time restrictions will ease up and I'll have more time in the studio, and that will help reinforce the second part, pushing my work forward. I think the most rewarding part of being an artist is just having that time in the studio and working actually there in my own space. A lot of times to make a living I have to work on computers doing things that you can't really put your hands on, so it's just nice to work with real materials and actually build something. And also it's really interesting exploring different things and looking at other artwork and thinking about things. I think the best part about being an artist is just seeing a lot of art and being in the world of painting.